Hello, and here we are at another job. So we're doing a fuseboard change here, taking out an old 10-way split load board and installing a new 17th edition Amendment 3 compliant dual RCD board. So I've already started to do a bit of testing with this, and so just got the last circuit, which is the ring main for the main part of the flat, just to do. So we'll take you through some of the steps of that. So here is the aforementioned cupboard with the fuse board in. Now it's extremely tight, sort of barely can get into it really. Definitely no place for standing up, no headroom because it's right under the staircase that goes to the upstairs flat. And you can see how tight it is to the floor there. And there's the incomer and a meter for economy 7, of which that could come out in fairness because there's no economy 7 here now. They've got central heating, but there's the circuits that we've already tested, and there's just one more to do. That's the kitchen sockets. So once we've done that, then we can take this off the wall and start to prep for installing our new 17th edition Amendment 3 dual RCD board. So here we are, the old fuse board off the wall, all the cables that supply it and feed from it, all on the floor, and there's the space to install the new fuse board. So this is the new fuse board that we're fitting, an MK dual RCD 6-way board. Now I've fitted a fair few of these MK boards before. I quite like them. They feel solid, quite sturdy, as an Amendment 3 come pre-populated with all the breakers you need. And I do have one little issue with these though, is that for the neutral and earth bar that runs along the top, you have to apply your own sticker. Now, I haven't taken the cover off of this one yet. I've just loosened the screws off. I don't know if that's still the case. But with brands like Hamilton, Wilex, even the cheaper BG, the label's already there. So I don't get why with the MK brand that they can't put the sticker on. So let's see if you still have to apply the sticker. And yes, you do. The instruction booklet and stuff should be somewhere. It says, oh, it's at the back. So yeah, you look across the top here, and you see it's very well constructed. There's no doubt about that. These feel very flexible for moving out of the way. There's a lot of headroom and space. Connections for the connection bar at the back, decent buzz bar connections. Overall, it's a very good product, but just this niggly thing, I don't quite know why you have to apply your own sticker. Here we go, and yes, sure enough, there it is. I mean, it's long enough for the board that we're fitting. So it's not as if you have to cut down for numbers or anything. So, you know, you'd stick it there like that. So why don't they do that in the factory? Is this because this is what makes it a cheaper deal? Sticking it on yourself, sticking the sticker on by yourself, not at the factory, paying somebody to do that. I don't know. Put comments down in the comments section below, and let me know what you think, or if you've come across this before, or if you happen to know somebody that works at MK by Honeywell, as to why that is. As I say, the other brands that I've fitted don't do that. Admittedly, I've not fitted every brand. I haven't fitted a Hager. I have fitted Crabtree, of course the same company as Wilex. Never had to do that. Purely just MK. So, yeah, let me know what you think on that one. One thing I do like about these boards, though, they're very easy to just do the knockouts with. Apologies for the camera shake. for doing the knockouts on these MK boards. The board still feels solid. Doing the knockout for putting the glands in makes it a lot simpler, and yeah, just a lot better. So as you can see, we now have the new fuse board on the wall. Meter tails are in, earth is about to be connected, and then it's just wires to wire in. So it's coming along slowly but surely. Okay, so fuse board is in and done, completed. Now I know my dressing of the board isn't as neat as some. It is better than others though. I feel especially when you read Professional Electrician magazine and see some of the hazards and issues you get with some. But there you go, so that's the MK dual RCD board installed, and look how tight it is to the floor. It's like literally that. So hence it's taken the time to get done, but glands all in, gland for the meter tails, and also the little blank for where the earth would normally go, because obviously the earth is up here in this one up there, as you can see. So that's it, done. All the circuits are back on, just a bit more testing to do, and obviously label, and yeah, obviously put the cover on as well, but I wanted to show you it with the cover off just so you could get an idea. Comments below please about neatness of dressing in, and issues you may have with different types of boards. It'd be good to get an idea. As I say, I've only fitted BG, Crabtree, Wilex and MK. Never fitted a Hager. I've fitted Hamilton as well, but yeah, some of the other brands that I know are very popular out there, never fitted. I prefer to stay with some of the main brands, just in that way if there's any issues, then obviously when it comes to it you can get parts for them. For instance, if an RCD was to go in one of the boards I've installed, then I know I can get another MK1 for it. Whereas if, for instance, I fit a lap one and then Screwfix stops supporting it, or there's an issue, then it's going to be very difficult trying to tell the customer, sorry, the thing I only fitted for you a couple of years ago I can't really get anymore. That's just my experience. Let me know what yours is. So back at the job where I was doing the Fuseboard change yesterday. So we're installing smoke alarms now. My preferred brand for the mains powered smoke alarms is ICO. I just find that ICO are excellent for the range of smoke alarms that they do. They make it very easy and simple for installation for the engineer, and fitting the cable in, and then they have also a nice knockout should you need it if you have to fit it via trunking and run the cables in. So that's what I'm doing. So fitting an ICO Optical smoke alarm at this point, and then in the kitchen already installed there's a heat alarm. This one in particular, because obviously as the regulations state, once you install more than one you have to interlink them together. Personally I prefer to radio link together whenever that's done. So this is actually a radio link base, but obviously works on the same principle base wise as the normal ICO smoke alarms do. So this is just a radio link one, and so you will see just around that corner there, about here, there's a little blue light, and that indicates that it's a radio link base. So that's up, cables installed. I've already done my insulation resistance test before I installed these, because you obviously can't, due to the delicate electronics within these bases, the smoke alarms themselves. Whilst things are connected, obviously you can't do your insulation resistance test. But I've done my R1, R2 insulation resistance. I've actually taken it off the lighting circuit, so I've then tested the lighting circuit, obviously in conjunction with changing the fuse board. So we'll put the head on and power up, and then of course we need to house code them. If you've not used a Radio Link base before, or this particular brand, if you just leave it as it is, it can actually be interfered if, say, somebody else next door has a Radio Link ICO system fitted as well. So you need to house code them. So you just press and hold the programming button. That sets it into a programming mode. Then you go to the next one, do the same, add it in, and then after a period of time, that's it. And then they're just locked to each other. So obviously if one goes off, then they all go off as the regulations state that it needs to. So this is the other bonus with using the ICO system. Everything is wired up already via the base, and then you just attach the head onto it, get it latched up, push it in, sorted. And that's it, done. As I say, just after house code. Now I just have to go and install a heat alarm in the kitchen. Okay, so loud noise alert now. So now I've pressed the house code buttons. We're going to test and make sure that when you test one, that the other one goes off as well. So we press the test button. And yes, you can hear the heat alarm in the kitchen going at the same time as this. So the house code function has worked, and they're now radio linked together. So in the event in future, hopefully it never happens, which of course is a strange thing with installing these systems. We install them for the hope that they actually never ever get used. But of course, when they do, we want them to work, which personally is why I choose the ICO brand of smoke alarms. That when one goes off, the other one goes off, so no matter where you are in this property, you should be able to hear the alarm. Next we'll install the carbon monoxide alarm. So I've sourced the potential location for fitting the carbon monoxide alarm. It's slightly difficult in this kitchen because there's a window there, and then there's also a window there. Now the only gas appliance in this room is the boiler, which is there. Now the guidelines from the manufacturer state that it has to be at least 1 meter away in any direction from the appliance, 300 mil away from any wall or light fitting. So that makes it slightly difficult to sort of try and place it anywhere, and also not directly within space of a window or any air vent or draft. So I could have just placed it sort of as you come above the door as you walk in, but as you'll have seen earlier, that's where I've placed the heat alarm. So the only real location that I can actually see or find for it to be is roughly about there. So that's where I'll put the carbon monoxide alarm, and we'll get on with fitting it. Okay, so it's fitted onto the ceiling, the base, and we've just pushed and twisted the carbon monoxide alarm head onto the ceiling as well. So just to test. Ow. I think that's loud enough. Of course it makes a different sound to the heat alarm or the smoke alarm, so you can actually differentiate whether it's a heat based, a smoke based, or whether it's a carbon monoxide based issue with the air that's caused the alarm to go off, and then therefore you can make the appropriate ways to leave the property and alert whoever you need to alert. As I said before though, hopefully these things never get used, but at least it's that peace and comfort of mind knowing that you have these detection devices in the event that anything should ever happen. So in terms of the smoke alarms, that's practically it done. Of course we do need to issue a certificate for the installation of the fire alarm system that we've installed here. So ours will be a grade D, which is a mains powered, and a category LD3, because we've only got the one optical and the one heat alarm here. So we'll need to produce that certification and give it to the householder so they hold on to that as proof that it's been installed. Now while we're talking about carbon monoxide alarms, it is an interesting issue. I don't know if you've come across it. Leave your comments in the section below about the fact that the regulations only stipulate, a few of you may be watching this and thinking this, the regulations only stipulate in relation to a carbon monoxide alarm to fit it with at least in England, a solid fuel burning appliance. But that seems rather strange when gas, which is obviously not a solid fuel, can still leak out carbon monoxide. But also a big thing is, with this being a semi-detached property, of course that's an outside wall, but still the wall that side is a semi-detached. You can still get carbon monoxide leaking in from other people. So I don't understand why the regulation, particularly in England, only went as far as stating solid fuel burning appliance when non-solid can also produce carbon monoxide. Just a bit of a strange thought, but nonetheless we are protected in this instance as well. And if there's any landlords watching this, please do think carefully. Obviously there is that regulation, so you're not obligated to install one if you don't have any solid fuel burning appliance within your property, but just be aware and think, is it worth, just because the regulation doesn't state, is it worth, for the sake of 20, 25, 30 quid to buy one? Obviously you can install it yourself, doesn't need an electrician to install it necessarily. Is it worth not having one, given the fact that it may not happen? But of course we do see in the news that sadly carbon monoxide deaths do still occur, and with it being the silent killer, is it really worth not having that protection for what is not really a great deal of outlay? I'll leave it with you. As I say, that's what the regulations state, but in my opinion, I personally don't think it's worth it. No matter where you are, any property, whether it's owner occupied or rented, I say get a smoke alarm, get it fitted, test it on a relatively regular basis, and that way you know you will be protected. Just a side point, in case you're wondering, hang on, why is the cover off the boiler? That's not applicable and allowed. There is actually a fault with this boiler currently, so it's not operative, and the engineer is repairing it and is attending to it. So for all of those eagle-eyed ones that noticed maybe in the background and thought, well, yeah, that's not to code or to standard, leaving the cover off, that's awful. Yeah, the place isn't occupied at the moment, and the engineer is working to repair the fault. Okay, so this is now the fuse board labelled, completely finished. It is a bit of a label-a-thon there, but of course you've got the circuit details chart, the caution warning about the two colours, or colours to two different versions of BS7671. You've got the date of next inspection and testing. Because we've installed a smoke and heat alarm here, you also got a label warning of that. And I always just put on that it was installed by me and my registered company details with Stroma. That's who I'm with. And then underneath here, everything is labelled as well. And we've labelled the fact that the smoke alarm is on the lighting circuit. So that's that. That is the MK 6-way dual RCD board, all completely labelled and finished.